an award. That's what I understand. And I saw some confirmation on the internet. So for what it's worth, that there was an award that he had not received previously. And on that point also, Your Honor, I would point out that my understanding is they called the district attorney's office prior to leaving, and the case had not been filed. And in fact, the case was not filed against them until, I want to say, it was a Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock or something, and the case was on for the next Monday. So they kept receiving information that the matter was still under review. I'm not making an excuse in the sense that I understand the court will say, well, it doesn't matter if you bail, you should be here. But it is a fact that they did make an effort to call.
Well, the court file shows that the complaints were filed October 18. And when was it that they went to Canada?
I'm not sure, but I believe it was that week. I think it was probably I think it was Wednesday. If that's a Friday, I think it was Wednesday of that week. Let me see what. No, that's a Tuesday.
The 18th was a Monday.
Oh, sorry. Okay, all right. That makes. I'm sorry. You had a 2011 calendar there. I was looking at. That makes sense. It was filed on the date of the arraignment, so they bailed out, and it wasn't filed. I thought it was filed the Friday before, but apparently it wasn't filed till the actual Monday. And my understanding is they left for Canada sometime in the middle of the week prior to that. So I'm looking at the wrong year here, but it would have been 13, 14, something like that.
All right. Before we get to your motion for bail reduction, let me inquire as to the people's position with respect to the requested continuance.
The people at this time are opposing any requested continuance. Mr. Sanger and I have had discussions about this request this morning. The Quaids were ordered to appear this morning. They actually posted a bail bond in the amount of $500,000 each
to
secure their presence here. We've had this is now the third court appearance at which they promised they would appear. The previous bond was forfeited. They had to post a new bond to get here. The people at this time are requesting that the bond be forfeited again, the bench warrants go out for their arrest, and an amount exceeding the $500,000 that was originally used to secure the presence this morning. So I don't see us resolving them. There's no guarantees that they're going to be here in 2 weeks should the bonds not be forfeited today. So in that light, people are requesting that the bonds be forfeited this morning, new bench warrants issued, and there be no future court date unless and until the Quaids appear.
All right.
And my alternative request, if I could, is if the court were to deny my request to simply continue and not forfeit, my request would be that the court hold the warrants for 2 weeks. Because if the court doesn't, then we end up with this whole business in Canada all over again. And that will give them an opportunity to come down here under their own power. If they don't make it, then the warrants can issue and all that can happen. But I think it just leads to to issue the warrants today would lead to just a whole new round of drama that doesn't really need to take place here. And we can get this case resolved if we can bring it under control. So I'm asking the court's indulgence.
It appears to the court that the problem with the control is the Quaids and not appearing for repeated court appearances.
I understand that they haven't. They've got some reasons, such as the non-filing to the day of the appearance. I think that's at least an arguable reason there. And you've got the fact that Mr. Quaid has to remain in Canada right now.
But Mrs. Quaid does not.
I understand, Your Honor. I'm an officer of the court, and I'm trying to be
no, and I
candid
appreciate
with the
that.
court.
I appreciate that.
But I'm nevertheless asking 2 weeks. I don't think is going to matter as far as actually releasing the warrants, whereas not releasing the warrants will matter. It will make a big difference in my ability to get them here. And as an officer of the court, I'm attempting to assist in getting them here so we can resolve this case. And I'm also attempting to work with the DA and trying to get to the bottom of some of these things on the merits.
I appreciate that you're doing that. All right. What I'm going to do in Mrs. Quaid's, I just don't find it a legitimate excuse for her not to be here. You know, maybe there's good. I'm going to overrule the objection at this point.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's just briefly, because the court does look at the underlying offense in deciding what bail should be, and I'm going to get to another point in a second about bail, but in looking at the underlying offense, we have obtained the actual deeds of this property in 1991 from the Quaids to the Bermans. We've had a review of the signatures, and I've looked at the signatures along with an expert, and they do appear to be forged. They do not appear to be the Quaid signatures. We have not retained an official expert, which we're in the process of doing, but ironically, with all the other issues that have arisen in the press, which I don't think we should be concerned about, there may be a claim of right, as strange as that may seem, to this property in this case, which would have a direct effect on the underlying facts of the case. So I have offered to and will provide, I've shown this to the district attorney, and he's been very open to talking about it, and I will provide him with the information we have. The next 2 weeks would be well used to explore the merits of the case with the district attorney as well. So the third thing that I had addressed is the increase of bail. It was this has become
before you get to that point. Let me inquire. You've explained why it is that Mr. Quaid allegedly can't be here. What about Mrs. Quaid?
I understand, Your Honor.